Imagine a world where money never existed. No wallets, no coins, no invisible numbers in your bank account. Instead, value measured in brushstrokes, in stories, in songs. A painting for bread, a poem for shelter, a melody for medicine. Think about it. How different our history would look. No Wall Street crashes, no empires built on trade routes, no wars over oil. Instead, wars fought over symphonies, alliances forged with sculpture, treaties sealed by poetry. What fractures would ripple through society if art became the currency of life itself? Stay with me, because as you'll see, some futures shimmer with beauty, and others break apart under their own weight. And if this sparks your imagination already, tell me in the comments what your art would be worth. Reality 1, the Renaissance economy. At first, life feels alive in ways we've forgotten. Streets become canvases, markets echo with music, schools teach brushwork alongside mathematics. Governments track cultural output the way they once tracked GDP. It feels like a second Renaissance. But like the first Renaissance, inequality arrives quickly. In the 15th century, patrons funded beauty, while most people lived in silence. Here, farmers feed thousands, yet their carvings buy them nothing. Engineers build bridges, but poets walk away with more wealth. Soon, entire nations reshape themselves. Countries built on creativity soar. Those built on agriculture stumble. Migration begins, not for jobs, but for inspiration. Cities flood with dreamers. Villages empty into silence. The divide deepens. Those praised by society thrive. The rest struggle unseen. Golden ages always hide shadows. If this reality fractured tomorrow, would your art buy you safety? Or would you struggle in silence? Share your answer below. The imitator's hell, survival pressures, drive desperation. Those without skill turn to imitation. History reminds us. In the 17th century, counterfeit coins nearly collapsed empires. Here, it's counterfeit art. Machines flood the markets, flawless but soulless. Soon, no one trusts value at all. Like the crash of 1929, faith collapses, transactions stall, suspicion spreads, violence breaks out over what's real, and then a darker market emerges. People selling experiences, grief, traded for food, joy, for shelter, nightmares, bottled and sold. The wealthy hoard emotion. The poor are stripped of humanity. Governments try to regulate, but regulation sparks rebellion. Black markets grow. Society fractures further. If survival demanded it, what part of you would you give away first? Leave a comment with your thoughts. Reality 3. The corporate museum. Eventually, corporations take control. Banks collapse, but in their place, vaults of art. Governments pour treasure into galleries. What hangs on the walls decides who holds power. Families queue for days, sketches in hand, songs in hand, praying for acceptance. But only the marketable survive. A logo feeds you more than a symphony. A slogan worth more than a lifetime of diaries. Nations clash, not over oil or land, but over masterpieces. A stolen painting topples a regime. Wars begin, with art as their weapon. Global conflict mirrors oil wars of the last century. And beneath it all, ordinary creators break. Children learn jingles instead of stories. Musicians abandon passion for product. The spirit bends until it breaks. Would you bend your art to fit their rules, or starve just to keep your voice alive? Tell me in the comments what you would choose. Reality 4, the silent collapse. Then comes the quiet. Not all at once. Slowly. A musician stops playing, afraid her song won't sell. A poet burns his journals, sure his words aren't enough. Fear spreads. Silence blankets everything. Markets collapse. Economies shrink to barter. Bread for labor, shelter for protection. Trust disappears alongside wealth. But history proves creativity never dies. Soviet writers smuggled banned books. Painters left murals on ruins of war. Even outlawed, art survived in whispers, hidden songs, secret stories. Centuries later, fragments resurface, and with them, another age of color begins. If silence fell tomorrow, would you create anyway, even if no one ever saw your work? Reality 5, the return to currency. And then, another fracture. Society experiments with art as currency, but the weight of inequality, the floods of forgery, and the chains of corporate control push humanity back towards something familiar. Coins return, notes return, digital banks reopen their vaults. It's not perfect, but it's predictable, stable, efficient. Art retreats. No longer survival, no longer bread or shelter. It becomes what it was before, a privilege of leisure, a product of free time. History has always circled back, from barter to coins, from gold to paper, from collapse back to order. And here too, the experiment fades, but the irony lingers. After decades of murals and symphonies as money, we choose once again the cold comfort of metal and paper, and art. It slips back into the margins. If this reality became ours, would you treasure art more, knowing what it once meant? Or would you forget it again? Drop your answer below. 5 fractured futures. A renaissance, alive with color, but unequal. An imitator's hell, where truth dies. A corporate museum, where culture is chained. A silent collapse, where only rebels create. And a return to currency, where history circles back again. Each echoes our past. Each could mirror our future. And each leaves us with the same question. What would you do if art became the currency of life? Would you adapt? Would you resist? Or would you long for the return of coins? If this vision struck something in you, please like, subscribe, and comment what art you would spend or save in a world like this. Share it with someone who creates. In this reality and the next, never stop chasing the fractures.